The Rolling Stone magazine asked Truman if he would write their tour.
Lee Radziwill was born into a world of elegance and pressure, but her early years were not as perfect as they seemed from the outside. She was the younger sister of Jacqueline Bouvier, who later became the famous First Lady Jackie Kennedy. Their family lived in privilege, yet behind the grand homes and parties, there were cracks. Their father, nicknamed Blackjack, struggled with money and gambling, and their parents' marriage was filled with tension. When the Great Depression hit, the family faced serious financial problems, and their lifestyle began to slip. Lee was known to be more rebellious than Jackie. While Jackie worked hard to polish her image, Lee often pushed against rules and wanted freedom. These early differences set the stage for the rivalry that would follow them throughout life. Even in childhood, Lee felt she was living in her sister's shadow, always being compared, and this would shape her feelings for decades. From a young age, Lee learned that Jackie was the star of the family. Jackie's charm, beauty, and ambition won her admiration from everyone around them. Teachers praised Jackie, relatives admired her, and even strangers saw her as special. Lee, however, was often overlooked. She developed her own style, trying to stand out with fashion and boldness. But no matter what she did, Jackie seemed to shine brighter. When Jackie married John F. Kennedy and became First Lady, Lee's place in the family was pushed even further back. The world now saw Jackie as America's queen, and Lee as simply Jackie's younger sister. This label followed her everywhere. Even when she entered glamorous social circles and married into European nobility, people saw her in relation to Jackie. This constant comparison made Lee insecure and sometimes bitter. She wanted to be known for herself, not just as Jackie's sister. But fame and attention were hard to claim when her sibling was one of the most admired. Women in the world. Lee tried to find her own happiness and identity through love and marriage. She married 3 times, each relationship bringing more drama than stability. Her first marriage was to Michael Canfield, a publishing executive, but it ended in divorce. Later, she married Prince Stanisław Radziwill, a Polish aristocrat, which gave her the glamorous title of Princess Radziwill. This made her stand out in high society, but the marriage was troubled. Rumors of affairs and constant conflicts followed them. Lee was linked romantically to several powerful men, including Aristotle Onassis, who later married Jackie. This added more fire to their rivalry. While Jackie was admired for her poise, Lee was often portrayed as restless and scandalous. She wanted love, attention, and admiration, but it often slipped through her hands. Her relationships were splashed across newspapers, making her personal struggles public. Instead of peace, her marriages often left her more vulnerable, reminding her that she was always chasing something she could not fully grasp. Unlike Jackie, who found her place in the political and cultural spotlight, Lee struggled to build a successful career. She tried acting, design, and even writing, but none of these ventures brought lasting success. She had connections with famous people in fashion, art, and film, but talent alone wasn't enough. Critics often dismissed her work, saying she was trying too hard to be something she wasn't. Lee longed to be recognized for her own achievements, but the public saw her mostly as Jackie's stylish sister, who lived off family name and social connections. Even when she poured effort into her projects, she didn't receive the respect she hoped for. Each failure added to her frustration and made her feel more overshadowed. The glamorous parties and friendships with celebrities gave her visibility, but not the independence she deeply wanted. For Lee, success always seemed just out of reach, and the shadow of her sister's achievements only made her struggles more noticeable. Even with her royal title and wealthy friends, Lee often faced financial troubles. She lived a glamorous lifestyle that was difficult to maintain, filled with expensive clothes, travel, and social events. When her marriages ended and her projects failed, her finances grew tight. At times, she had to sell jewelry or rely on wealthy friends to keep up appearances. Scandals followed her wherever she went, whether about money, love, or family issues. Some people admired her elegance, while others whispered that she was desperate to stay relevant. Her relationship with Jackie also grew colder when money and inheritance came into play. After their mother died, Jackie received a larger share of the estate, and Lee felt betrayed. The financial tension added bitterness to their already complicated bond. To the outside world, Lee appeared polished and graceful, but behind closed doors, she was often worried about money and her place in society. One thing Lee always had was her charm and ability to make friends in high places. She surrounded herself with artists, designers, and celebrities, becoming part of the glamorous social scene in New York and Europe. She was often seen at Studio 54, one of the most famous nightclubs of the 1970s, where she mingled with stars like Andy Warhol and Truman Capote. These friendships gave her attention and kept her in the spotlight, even when her personal life was in chaos. Lee loved being admired and staying connected to culture and fashion. But these friendships were not always stable. People in high society could be fickle, and when her influence faded, many drifted away. While she was known as a style icon, admired for her slim figure and bold fashion, her personal life remained fragile. The glitz and glamour kept her relevant, but they couldn't fill the emptiness she often felt inside. As Lee grew older, her rivalry with Jackie softened, but the distance between them never fully healed. Jackie's death in 1994 was a turning point. For years, Jackie had been the center of attention, but now Lee had to face the world without her sister. She inherited less than she expected from Jackie's will, which caused more pain and disappointment. By this time, Lee had outlived much of the glittering social world she once belonged to. The friends, parties, and constant attention began to fade. She lived quietly, still admired for her beauty and fashion sense, but no longer the star of gossip columns. Age forced her to reflect on her life, her choices, and the endless comparisons with Jackie. Though she had wealth and connections, she often felt lonely. To the public, she remained a symbol of elegance. But in private, her story was one of longing and missed chances. After Lee's death in 2019, at the age of 85, her daughter, Anna Christina Tina Radziwill, shared a different story of her mother. While the world saw Lee as glamorous, Tina revealed a painful truth. She said that Lee was emotionally distant and showed clear favoritism toward her son, Anthony. Tina admitted she felt neglected and unloved compared to her brother. Her confession shocked many because it showed a side of Lee that the public never knew. Behind the fashion and fame, there was a woman who struggled to give warmth to her own child. Tina's words painted a picture of loneliness, not just for herself, but for Lee as well. Lee had spent her life trying to be admired, trying to compete with Jackie, and trying to hold on to status. Yet in the process, she failed to give her daughter the love she desperately needed. Tina's confession revealed the emotional cost of Lee's choices. Leaving a sad legacy behind the glamour, Lee Radziwill's life was filled with beauty, elegance, and high society, but also with sadness, rivalry, and emptiness. She grew up in Jackie Kennedy's shadow and spent her entire life trying to step out of it. She chased love, fame, and success, but rarely found lasting happiness. Her marriages collapsed, her career attempts failed, and her financial struggles often embarrassed her. She was admired for her fashion and friendships, yet behind the glamour was a woman fighting insecurities and loneliness. The final words from her daughter Tina summed it up best. Lee may have left behind wealth and a famous name, but she struggled to give real love. In the end, Lee Radziwill's story reminds us that beauty and fame can never replace emotional warmth and genuine family connection. Her life was dramatic, fascinating, and tragic. A story of a woman who had everything the world could offer, yet still longed for the one thing she never found: peace in her own heart. Lee Radziwill was born Caroline Lee Bouvier in 1933, 2 years after her famous sister Jacqueline. From the beginning, her life was shaped by family conflict. Their father, John Blackjack Bouvier, was a charming man with good looks, but also a reckless gambler who loved drinking and women. Their mother, Janet Lee, came from a wealthy family but was ambitious, controlling, and often critical. When their parents divorced in the 1940s, the sisters were deeply affected. Jackie withdrew into books, horses, and discipline, while Lee became more rebellious and attentive. Friends from childhood remembered that Jackie was praised for being smart and graceful, while Lee was described as wild and dramatic. The separation of their parents forced the girls to grow up quickly. Their mother remarried Hugh Arkancloss, a wealthy man, and this gave the sisters access to more privilege. But the emotional damage of a broken family stayed with Lee, who often longed for affection and stability she never fully received. While many sisters have friendly competition, for Lee and Jackie, the rivalry was magnified by wealth, power, and public attention. Jackie excelled in academics, writing, and social charm, while Lee sought freedom and excitement. As teenagers, they competed over clothes, friends, and even who could catch more attention from men at parties. Jackie was cautious, while Lee liked to take risks. This difference set the stage for years of comparison. When Jackie met John F. Kennedy and entered the political world, her life became something larger than herself. She transformed from a young socialite into the First Lady of the United States. For Lee, this was a bitter pill to swallow. She had married first, but Jackie had achieved a kind of global fame and respect Lee could never match. The world admired Jackie's elegance, while Lee was left to prove her worth. Even friends noticed that Lee often seemed jealous of her sister's spotlight, though she tried to hide it with charm and style. One of the most dramatic chapters of Lee's life was her relationship with Aristotle Onassis. In the 1960s, Lee was romantically linked to the Greek shipping tycoon, and many believed they were headed toward marriage. Onassis was wealthy, powerful, and known for surrounding himself with beautiful women. Lee was deeply attracted to his world of yachts, luxury, and power. But in a shocking twist, Onassis later married Jackie after President Kennedy's assassination. This betrayal cut Lee deeply. It was not just about losing a lover, it was about once again losing to Jackie. Lee reportedly felt humiliated, as if her sister had stolen a man who might have given her the life she always wanted. Friends close to the family said the Onassis affair was the breaking point in their relationship. Though they remained connected as sisters, the trust between them was never the same. This event became one of the strongest symbols of the rivalry that defined Lee's life. Lee's desire to be recognized for her own talents drove her to try several careers, but none truly succeeded. In the 1960s, she attempted acting, appearing in small theater productions, and even a few television projects. Critics were unkind, calling her performances stiff and unconvincing. Many believed she was cast only because of her famous connections, not because of skill. Later, she turned to interior design, working on projects for wealthy friends. While some praised her taste, she failed to build a strong professional reputation. She also wrote a memoir, Happy Times, where she shared glamorous stories of her life with celebrities and artists. However, readers felt it lacked honesty and depth, portraying only the glitter while avoiding the pain. Each failure added to her image as someone who wanted fame but couldn't achieve it. Without her sister's shadow looming over her, for Lee, the lack of professional success was another reminder that she was always second best. Although Lee lived a life surrounded by luxury, her finances were not always stable. Maintaining her image of elegance required money for fashion, travel, and staff. After her divorce from Prince